everybody, my name is Brooke Birnbaum, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade pizza. It is pretty fast, however, depending on the amount of time that you have will depend on if you can really finish this in one day or not. When my students make this in school, it takes them 3 days because of the amount of time it takes to cook each different components and the amount of time it takes to combine everything. If you're making this at home, probably block out about an hour in order to, from start to finish, make your pizza. But this is the end result of making the pizza. This is just with one thing of yeast. You end up with 2 different pizzas. It's a lot of food and it's super good. Pretty easy, doesn't have a whole lot of ingredients except for whatever you want to add on top. So please follow along with the video and it will show you step by step how to go about making this. Enjoy! As far as ingredients are concerned, it's actually pretty simple. The only things that you absolutely have to have are a package of fast rising yeast, approximately 3 cups of flour, you might need a little bit more, 1 cup of warm water, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I honestly don't have olive oil here right now, so I'm going to use avocado oil, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Those are the only ingredients you need for the dough itself. However, you're obviously going to want to put stuff on top of the pizza, and so you're going to need some sort of pizza sauce. This is my favorite, tomato sauce, pizza sauce, but you can use whatever you would like. You're also going to want cheese for on top of your pizza, and so you can use whatever cheese you would like. I have an Italian 6 cheese here. And then as far as the rest of the toppings, it's totally up to you. You can add peppers on top of it. You can put oregano, garlic, spinach, pepperoni. I'm trying to think of all the things. Mushrooms. Those are the things I like on pizzas. But whatever you want to put on top of your pizza is totally fine. Grab those toppings. Now that we've gone over all of the ingredients you're going to be needing, we are going to head straight into the directions. So if you're making this on some sort of time crunch, you might need to separate it into 3 days. So you could combine the crust day 1, bake the crust day 2, and then actually add your pizza sauce and toppings day 3. I'm going to do it all at one time, but I am going to show you where those breaks should be, just so that you have a good idea of what a good stopping point is and where you're going to be stopping. So the first thing you're going to need to do is in your stand mixer, which is why I have mine sitting here, you need to add your package of yeast, 1 cup of flour, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Make sure that you do have fast rising yeast. Okay, I would suggest you cut a bigger opening than I did because this is a lot harder to get out than it should be. I have flour in this container and I need 1 cup of flour. Really important to level off the flour to make sure you're getting the right amount. If you're using a knife, use the back side because it's flat. If you have a level, even better. And then you need 1 teaspoon of salt. I dumped some in a bowl just to make it a little easier to measure. I have a pink Himalayan salt, which is why mine looks pink. Now we're going to add on the attachment piece here, and we're going to mix this really briefly. If you're using a stand mixer like this, make sure you lock it in, and then I keep my hand on here. And I'm just going to do this pretty low. Now you're going to need a really small saucepan, so something like this. And in here we're adding 1 cup of warm water and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I like to measure over this just to make sure that if I spill it goes into this and doesn't make a huge mess. So you want it to be just like that, where it's almost overflowing, but it's not. Now I'm actually going to carry this over to the sink to add my cup of water, just so I don't make a mess trying to carry it over to here. Okay, so I now have my 1 cup of warm water in here as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the stove and I'm going to heat this up until the liquid is the temperature between 120 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in there, not touching the bottom, not touching the side, because then you're not getting an accurate reading. But I'm going to hold it down just enough in the water to be measuring the temperature of the water and oil, and going to turn this on a medium heat until it gets to 120 to 130 degrees. It should not be bubbling at that point. So the liquid should be warm, like very warm, but not hot. So just to show you, this is done, but what you do is you hold this just like that, and then it'll show you the temperature on here. Okay, so we're now going to take this and we're going to add it to here. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift this up so it's out of the way. And then you're just going to dump this into your mixture, making sure that you don't make a mess. I honestly suggest that you hold something like a fork or a knife, just like this, next to here, because it helps it go in without making a huge mess. Kind of weird, seems like it wouldn't work, but it actually works quite well. And then we're done with this, so if you want to wash this, or if you're working with someone, have them wash it. Now, we are going to block this again. And what you want to do is you want to mix this on a low speed until everything is combined. As you can see around the outside, there's some that's not combined, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a spatula and just push that all down. Now that it's combined, as in it's not totally separate, we're now going to mix it on a medium speed for 2 to 3 minutes. Mine goes from 0 to 10, so I'm going to put it at a 5. So it's been a minute and a half. I'm just going to lift this and scrape all of the batter on the sides down, just to make sure it's really all being able to mix together. And then I'm going to do my other minute and a half. Alright, you might not realize how long 3 minutes seems until you're sitting somewhere waiting for it to be done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this bowl out of here and set it down. I'm actually going to go ahead and move this because we don't need it anymore, and right now it's just going to end up being in the way. This is pretty liquidy, as you can tell. You are going to add another cup of flour. And then you're going to mix this one in by hand. I would just stick with the spatula you were using. Now that that's totally mixed in, we're going to add half a cup to this. We're going to mix again. It should be getting harder to mix. Okay, at this point, what you need to do is you need to have a clean and floured surface. So I'm going to take another half a cup of flour. This time I don't need to level it out. You're just going to make it approximate, and you're going to do this. After you have all this flour in here, I get a little bit on my hands too, because you're going to be touching the dough, and that way it won't stick to you. And what you want to do is you just want to get all of this out and put it onto the floured surface. Make sure that all of it comes out. Should come out in a clump. Set that to the side because we don't need it anymore. And now we're going to start kneading. And we're going to do this for 5 to 7 minutes. Kneading dough, if you've never done it, you take it and you push your palms into it and you just continue to turn it. Now the reason we have flour here is to make sure that as you're doing this, it's not sticking to the counter or your hands. So if you're feeling like it's starting to get stuck to the counter or your hands, you need to add more flour or push the flour closer to it. The goal with this is to end up with smooth and elastic dough. Okay, so I've now been doing this for about 3 of the 5 to 7 minutes, and my arms are getting tired. If you're doing this well and you're really like putting a lot of pressure with your palm into it, it's a pretty tiring thing to do, so hopefully you have somebody else there with you, taking turns. Maybe don't even go fully 3 minutes if there are multiple other people, but I'm going to switch now for the remainder of the time. It has been about 6.5 minutes. So what we're going to do now is this is going to sit here for 15 to 20 minutes. If we're making this in class, this is where it's going to sit in a bowl overnight in the fridge because there's not enough time to do the rest of the steps today. So we're just going to leave it like this. But if you wanted to make it at home, you could just let this sit out for 15 to 20 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes. I will let you see what happens to it during that time. I push the remaining flour here. As you can see, most all of the flour that I had dumped on here is now part of this, which is perfect. Just have a little bit to set underneath it. We're going to leave it for 15 to 20 minutes, or if you're in class, we're going to leave it in the fridge for a day, and then we'll come back to it in 15 to 20 minutes, and I will continue the steps then. So it's been 20 minutes, and you can tell the difference, or hopefully you can tell the difference, that the dough is now risen and much thicker. So this is what it would look like if you put it in the fridge overnight and you got it back out. It would have risen just like this. And so now what we're going to do is the oven needs to be preheated to 400 degrees, and you are going to make the crust on day 2. So if you're doing this all at once, then this is just continue on. If you're doing this in 3 days, then this is day 2. You're going to be baking the crust. So what you're going to do is you're going to split this in half. You can split it in half by hand. You can split it in half with a knife. It doesn't really matter. The goal is to have, you're going to have 2 pizzas at the end of this, and so just in half somehow. So I'm just literally going to tear it in half. There we go. Relatively even pieces. And now what you need to do is we're going to press it or roll it to flatten it out onto parchment paper. So we're going to show you how to roll it, and you're also going to see how to press it at the same time, and then you can decide which one you want to do. We are putting it onto parchment paper and then onto a pan just because it's faster and easier to clean. The alternative is to grease a pan and sprinkle it with cornmeal and then just put it straight onto the pan. Because of cleanup, we're just going to put it onto parchment paper. You're going to flatten this out depending on your desired thickness for your pizza. So I'm going to roll it out. You're going to just press it down. That way you can see what both look like and you can decide however you want to do it. I'm seeing how thin I can get this. Are you going with the thicker crust?
Yeah, I'm going thick crust.
Okay, so we'll show you guys a thin crust and a thicker crust. That way you know what it's going to look like. Ooh, you're being fancy. You're adding a crust to it too.
Oh yeah. I need to be able to contain all my toppings. I like a lot of toppings.
I had a student make a heart pizza one time. That was super cute. If you guys wanted to make it into smaller pizzas and just do more, you could split the dough into the number of people you have and then just make individual pizzas. It would definitely be a lot smaller. If you flattened it out kind of like mine, it might be the size of his, but probably smaller than that. So just keep that in mind. But you at least have to split the dough in half. At this point, it shouldn't be sticky. Like, there isn't anything other than oil on my hands, a little bit of oil from this. I have a half circle, half square pizza.
Perfect.
2 different types of pizza. We have one fully with a crust and actually circular, and we have one very thin, half square, half circle attempt. It was supposed to be a circle, but oh well, it's not a circle. What we're going to do is we're going to take these and set them on top of a pan. So you should bring the pan over to here and then have somebody help you. Like you lift and someone slide a pan under. Just that way you don't make a mess and drop this on the floor. So we'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to hold this here. Yep. There's one and then the other one. Perfect. Alright, so you can use whatever pan you want underneath. This is actually like a pizza pan, circular. This is not, but it fits my oddly shaped pizza a little bit better. Poking holes is really important. That way air bubbles don't form and doesn't ruin your crust. What we're going to do now is this is going to go in the oven. Both of them are going to go in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes. Again, we start with the lowest amount of time and we'll check it. The goal is for the edges of the crust to turn light brown, and that's how we'll know that it's done. If it's not done, we'll put it back in. We're going to put these in the oven and I'll bring them back in 10 minutes to show you what they look like. The crust is now done. So again, if we're making this and you don't have a whole lot of time, then this is where you stop. You can put it in the refrigerator, you can leave it sit out, and then just revisit it again tomorrow. We are going to continue today because I'm looking to have pizza now. So now what you want to do is you want to add your toppings on in whatever order with whatever you want. So that is what we're going to do. I have red sauce that was already in a jar, so I'm going to start with that. Look at that. Perfect amount and everything. You can use as much sauce or as little sauce as you want. If you love sauce, add more. If you hate sauce, don't add much. Personal preference. I love garlic powder, so I'm adding that next. Time for cheese. If I had spinach, I would put it underneath the cheese. I would tear it up into little pieces. It's healthier, and you can't even taste the difference. Alright, now we're going to add toppings. So we have pepperoni, sausage, and I have a yellow pepper. I would have liked to use a green pepper, but I don't have green peppers. I'm going to add a little bit of oregano to the top of mine as well because it's commonly found in pizza. You could definitely add garlic or oregano or whatever other things you wanted into the dough as well. For me, I think it's easier to just sprinkle it on top. If this was being done in 3 days, you would take the crust and you would add everything to it on the 3rd day, and then it would be going into an oven, so you would have needed to preheat it to 400 degrees. Because this was all done at once, Our oven is still preheated, and this is just going back into the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. You want it to cook as much as you want it. So if you want it to be super crispy cheese, you're going to leave it in longer. If you prefer it to be like this, you could technically leave it like this, as long as all of the ingredients you have on here are cooked. But at this time, these are going in the oven like this, and we'll show them to you when they come out. Alright. So 13 minutes is how long these ended up being in the oven. You can see there's some grease on top of the pizzas from the pepperoni, so I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of blot that off just to get it to go away. I did find some mushrooms after I ended the video, so I threw them on there. That's how they magically appeared. So just going to blot this a little bit, get that off. I don't really like the flavor of the grease, and it's really not very good for you. So you're going to want to let this cool off for a little while before eating it, obviously. The parchment paper itself is not hot, doesn't really get hot in the oven, so if I were you, I would take this off of the pan just so that it can cool off faster. But I also like to take forks and set them underneath my pizzas. That way the bottom is crispier. Do you have forks under your pizza?
No, I do not.
Okay. Let it sit and cool off, and then you can cut it, or if you made them smaller, like personal pizzas, then you can just eat it. This is how you make a pizza, and these are what it ends up looking like if you do something super thin. This is what happens if you keep it a little bit thicker. I could have kept mine thicker and still used a rolling pin. We definitely could have flip-flopped where I could have done it by hand and flattened it out like this, and he could have used a rolling pin and ended up like that. Totally up to you. So after it's sat and cooled off, if you are going to cut it, you can go about it like this. You do need to take it off of whatever cookie sheet or pizza pan it's on. Remember, the parchment paper does not get hot. My counter is scratch proof, so it can handle like me actually cutting on the counter. A lot of counters cannot, so please keep that in mind when you're doing this. Don't cut it on a table, that's going to cause issues. Oh, I love thin crust. Okay, so depending on how thick or thin you make the crust, this is a pretty large difference here in these two pizzas. I hope you enjoy this and enjoy your pizza. Enjoy!